try and kick me out.
Okay, well, I'm not going to speculate as to why you would be kicked out of your own hearing.
I don't know.
No
If
guilty conscience there, right?
Yeah, probably, computer.
I'm teasing you. All right. It is overcast and been drizzling all day, and you're out in the sun. So are you trying to rub it in that you've got decent weather and we're inside working really hard?
No, sir. I actually thought the hearing was at 1:30. So I just wanted to make sure I get on. So I had to step out.
Okay. So you had to step out. Well, so you were in another meeting and you had to get out of the meeting? Okay.
Yes, I was with my supervisor in my unit. So I needed to step out just to make sure I can hear everything and participate.
Right. Ms. Waller, if you'll give me your summary of what's transpired since the last review.
Sure.
November.
Right. So Sierra had been placed at Devereaux. She has, as we saw, since left. She is in foster with Miss Ragu now. It's my understanding she's doing very well in placement. She's currently doing online school and is actually on a fast track to graduating, potentially finishing high school by the end of this year. Her independent living services have started virtually. The focus right now is she is thinking about applying to college. It's my understanding she has selected West Georgia University as a place she'd like to go. In terms of other services, she is doing medication management. She is in individual therapy. Her last therapist left recently, but it's my understanding they were able to get her with a new therapist without missing an appointment or anything like that. The whereabouts of the parents are unknown to the department, but I believe Sierra has mentioned that she has been in contact with them via social media. And everything is going well. Department requests just maintaining the status quo at this time.
Ms. Wilcox, is the information reported by your lawyer, is all that true and correct?
Yes, sir. To my knowledge. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm assuming she got all that information from you, so I hope it's within your knowledge. Are you, have you got anything you want to add or supplement that report with?
No, sir. It's just her medication management. We are having a little issues with getting in touch with the actual provider, a person. We're kind of playing phone tag just to see if we could get one of her medications, either the dosage lowered or changed. And they're getting services through United Behavioral Health Solutions. And it's just, as I've recently took it over the case, it's just been a little hard to get in touch with a physical person with that agency.
Well, has her therapist or doctor recommended a reduction in the dose?
No, her therapist is new. Unfortunately, her past therapist, the last time we was in court, she just recently left the agency, so we had to get a new therapist in place. So right now she has a new therapist that as of last Friday, she has seen twice.
I'm curious, why would you expect this person, and maybe I don't understand what their role is, but generally doctors are the ones who adjust the medication doses. And
Yeah, it's my understanding that Sierra's been experiencing some unwanted side effects recently. So she had mentioned wanting to explore the possibility of decreasing the dosage or
that's when you get her back to the doctor. You don't mess around with phone tag. You get her to the doctor.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Bartles, just to kind of, if I can just add.
Please don't interrupt. I'm talking to
No, I wasn't interrupting. Nobody was speaking when I spoke. I didn't hear. No, that's why I was like, that's why I raised my hand.
Well, and I haven't recognized you, so please wait until I can recognize you, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Wilcox, have you made contact with the doctor?
Yes, sir. So United Health, HBIS is the psychiatrist agency that's doing her medication management. Her therapist is with another agency. However, prior to me taking the cases, they were already in talks of adjusting her medication because the 300 milligrams that she takes 3 times a day is too much for her. She's having side effects in it, so we're in the process of doing that now. However, it was a case manager change. Therefore, majority of the information is going to Ms. Godwin's email. So I am trying to get in touch with the psychiatrist through their telephone, their agency telephone. And that's where we're getting disconnected because I'm not talking to a physical person. I have to leave a message. And so I have not physically spoke with a person to be able to schedule and talk about her medication management.
Okay, so how long have you been trying to do this without success?
This is the second week, sir.
All right. And how long is how long has Sierra been complaining of the side effects?
That information I do not know. I just obtained this case the first week in May from Ms. Godwin.
Sierra, how long have you been complaining about the side effects?
I've been complaining since my last facility, closer to the 2nd month mark at RHC, but we couldn't get a hold of my caseworker. She, honestly, we've been having some trouble with my caseworker, so it's just like a back and forth thing with her. And then she went on leave and didn't tell me and my foster parent. So that's when we got a hold of Miss Wilcox and my caseworker supervisor about that. And then they took it into their hands.
Okay. So are we talking about a month, longer than a month?
Yes, sir. About 2 months now, 2.5 months.
Okay. All right. All right. Ms. Ragu, what did you want to tell me?
I was just gonna basically say what Sierra told you, and then also add to the fact that when we first got the management plan for the medication was something that we did not have when she initially left her care at RHC. So when we did speak to that company with the psychiatrist and everything, she also did state in that meeting that we needed to have an adjustment of the medication because she felt like having someone that was 17 on lithium, such a high dosage of lithium multiple times. The psychiatrist did say that that's too high. But then after that, that was at the later half of April. Then after that meeting, we did receive an email right after saying that Sierra was supposed to set up, Ms. Godwin was supposed to set up a meeting for her to have labs and stuff done because the psychiatrist did request it in that meeting. But Ms. Godwin failed to actually set up those appointments. So I know that Ms. Wilcox is working, but those were things that just were kind of like left open. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that there was a meeting with the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist did refer that we do the different things, but those appointments were not made from Ms. Godwin's part.
Okay. So you're in the process of making those appointments, Ms. Wilcox?
I am still trying to get in touch with a physical person with that agency.
What is the name of the agency?
I'm not able to access the client portal because there's password protected and all that goes to Ms. Godwin's email.
And a physician associated with that group made the initial, issued the original prescription, or did that come from Devereaux?
I believe that lithium prescription came from Devereaux.
So the physician affiliated with Health Behavior Solution is supposed to be consulted about reducing the dose. But you still don't have the lab work, right?
That is the current agency that this case is going with for medication management.
Meaning DFAX is contracted with them to do medication management.
Correct.
Well, I don't know who should be more embarrassed, the department or this agency that you're paying money to who's not doing the job and you can't even get in touch with them. That tells me you got the wrong person on the job. And we've gone through this time and time again. Y'all contract with people to do drug screens who won't do them. You contract with people to do other things. They don't do it or don't do it timely. And this child needs this adjustment. I'm not a doctor, but she's saying she's got side effects, which are not uncommon with psychiatric drugs, but she needs relief sooner than later. And it sounds like we'll be waiting to midsummer before anything happens. So your supervisor or your director needs to get in touch with whoever runs this business and get in touch with somebody at the state office to get these people moving or move the contract and give it to somebody for at least for management of this child so things don't clog up. It's obvious that part of the clogging up is due to the fact that the last caseworker left and she didn't pass stuff over. But,
She's on a medical, she didn't leave the agency.
Well,
She went out on a medical and it was
okay.
unexpected. Her actual date was supposed to be the week after, but she went out early.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, I know who she is, and she's always done a good job as far as I can tell. So I was surprised to hear that this was in her lap, but there may be extenuating circumstances. But the bottom line is we got to get the help for Sierra sooner than later. Okay. And I don't know the inner workings of your agency. I probably should know more than I know, but maybe I should know less than I know. But my line is somebody's got to get the ball moving, because right now we're just sitting still. You're leaving phone messages. Nobody's calling you back. You can't get anybody. It's got to stop. So you let me know, or have your lawyer let me know by the end of the week what the resolution of this is. What else do we need to talk about? Anybody have any questions for Ms. Wilcox?
No, Your Honor.
Yes, sir, I do.
Go ahead.
Ms. Wilcox, I just wanted to ask if you or maybe it's Shantae Campbell that would be doing this, but if anyone had been having discussions with Sierra about her intentions to remain in care past her 18th birthday, with her coming up on her birthday this October, is the department aware of what her intentions are at this time?
So Ms. Shrock, I met Sierra for the first time on last week, and we had a very long and detailed discussion about IOP services, different IOP placement, the difference between IOP and TLP placement. I also put Sierra, her ILS, Ms. Campbell, myself, and Ms. Ragu on an email so Sierra can start getting the information she needs to move forward with her plans of going to college. So we've had our first conversation, but it was a really in detailed conversation about her plans. One, she really wants to stay with her current placement, even if that entails going off to college. She still wants to be able to have that as a placement to come back to from time to time. But she spoke very highly on going to college, and from my understanding, staying in care to get these services done.
Okay, well, I appreciate you having such an in-depth conversation with her and explaining those services to her. Thank you. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
That's excellent news, Sierra. Just so you know, I've already told the clerk to give us our next review date that will occur shortly before your 18th birthday, because when kids are getting ready to be 18, I won't, if I need, it doesn't sound like I'm going to need to put the last ditch pitch for you staying into care. Okay. But
Yes.
if you start having second thoughts about that, we need to talk about it. You can talk about it with your guardian ad litem attorney. So obviously you've probably been talking about it with Ms. Ragu, and that is fine. And you can talk to Ms. Wilcox about it. But if you have any thoughts about going to college or technical college, DFACS is an incredible deal. Not the fact, beside the fact that as approaching 18, and I've only done this for 37 years, I haven't had an approaching 18-year-old male or female who was ready to go do it on their own. Okay? You included. You're very mature in a lot of ways. You've had some life experiences that have helped you mold you that way. And, but you need support. You need a roof over your head. You need somebody to cheerlead, somebody to ground you. And no better way than to stay in care and let the state help you with the expense of going to school, if that's what you choose to do. Help you find housing. You got housing that you say you like right now, and that's awesome. But it's a win-win situation to stay in care. And 15, 20 years ago, more than half the kids that we had in foster care would leave when they turned 18. Now, I don't have that many that leave. They really don't, because they know there are many advantages, and not just for college. We've got kids that's not in their future. They don't plan for that, but they've still got, we've got a young man now that's will soon age out of foster care at 21, and they've helped him with employment, help him, he's in an apartment. They've helped him get a motor vehicle. They didn't buy his car, but they've helped him with a lot of things along the way. and he's very appreciative, and he will sing to the heavens about why he's glad he stayed in care. Okay, so just giving you a heads up, we'll get to talk about it as we approach, because I have to see you in 6 months or thereabouts anyway. So we'll be able to talk about it. And if bumps in the road come up and you start having doubts about it, talk to us. Okay. You can even ask for an earlier hearing and come back to court and talk to me. Now, I'll tell you, I don't know all the ins and outs of the program. Okay. Ms. Wilcox knows a lot more than I do, but there are things that she may not know. There are people that's what they do for their job with DFACS, is manage and identify those programs that are available to you. Okay. So don't be afraid to ask. And I would imagine, Ms. Ragu, have you fostered teenagers before?
No, sir, but I did work at RHC before acquiring Sierra, and I'm a teacher. I currently teach at Hiram High School, and prior to Hiram and RHC, I taught at Marietta High School. So I've taught teenagers for a very long time.
Okay. So it sounds like she's familiar with some of the programs that are out there for foster kids and foster kids who remain in care after their 18th birthday. But, and she'll be a valuable resource as well. Sounds like she already has been. Because I can remember in the too distant past, I don't think that this was your life plan, was it? But that's okay. I mean, listen, a lot of people don't make their mind up at age 14 or 15. They're still figuring things out. Some kids are still figuring things out at 17 and 18. Okay. But you got a whole load of resources of people who know stuff that can answer questions for you. And there's no reason they won't shoot straight to you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
How often are you hearing from your parents?
I don't talk to my parents. Every time I feel like I talk to them or have gotten to talk to them, it's like I'm talking to them when they feel like they want to call me. So I just don't talk to them no more.
Okay. That's your absolute right. They have let you down incredibly. And it's very sad. Unfortunately, that happens. And hopefully, have you had time with your new therapist to be able to talk in confidence about how you feel about that? So you can, need closure at some point if you haven't already gotten it.
I actually talked to her a little bit about it. It was only our second session, but we're probably going to go into more of grief our next session, and work our way into talking about my parents.
Okay. Because what happens with a lot of kids, and I don't know that it's happening with you, and that's not you. I'm not asking you to tell me. I'm just a lot of kids somehow when these things happen, they somehow internally they blame themselves. That somehow it must be something wrong with me why my parents have dumped me, and that's not the case. And sometimes it takes a while to come to grips with that, but it's not on you. Okay. But one reason I asked you is that we've still continued to provide your mother with an attorney, although we've never laid eyes on her. She's never filed anything with the court. And I'm probably going to excuse her lawyer from having to participate anymore. You don't hear from her, do you, Ms. Riddle? Yeah, she's never communicated with the court. And at this late age, the department, one reason we give lawyers to mothers is we don't know down the road at some point, the department may want to terminate parental rights, but you'll be 18 in September or October, whichever it is. So that's not practical for them to do that. And that's why, out of an abundance of caution, we have mothers usually represented, but I don't see the need to continue to expend that. Just giving you a heads up, Ms. Riddle, this may be your swan song, but in the case, but I kind of got sidetracked, but I wanted to talk to Sierra. Did anybody else have any questions for Ms. Wilcox?
No, Your Honor.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Ragu, who has already got my vote for Foster Parent of the Year?
Ha.
No, Your Honor.
Listen,
question,
listen, how long have you known Sierra? How long has she been with you? For 3 months?
I met her in November.
Oh, okay.
And I started the process of working to acquire her in January.
Okay.
And she was discharged from RHC in March, this January. Yes.
Is this your first foster placement?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Well, you wouldn't believe the difference. And everybody on the screen that knows Sierra knows and recognizes the difference. So we have you to thank for that. And we have Sierra to thank for that, because Sierra and I have had some tough talks in the years past. She didn't want to do it the way that I wanted her to do it. But I don't want kids to do it my way, but I want them to think about the options they have. And I do have to say I may push one over the other, but right, Sierra?
Yes, sir.
But I haven't pushed too hard, have I?
No, it's just more of a motivation every time I come to court. Is like, so what are my plans for my judge this time? Like, what can I provide him that's going to be good for me?
Well, and that's good, but to a point. But listen, I don't want you to ever think that you've got to just invent something to tell the judge. Because listen, if you come to me and say, look, I have searched my soul, I have talked to my teachers, and I really don't think college is for me, I'm fine with that. If you've done your homework about that, obviously I love the fact that you're thinking about college, because I know from talking to you all these times that you've got the skills to do it. But, I know plenty of people who have the skills to do college, but it doesn't interest them. And college is an expensive proposition to go do something you don't enjoy doing, or don't have a goal that's specifically tied to getting a college degree. So I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of Ms. Ragu, both, and whoever else has been involved in encouraging you. But you know what I want more than anything? I want Sierra to be Sierra and to be happy. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So that's a work in progress. That doesn't happen overnight for any kid, whether they're in foster care or whether they're living with mom and dad, or mom or dad, or however. So you made my day.
Thank you.
So unfortunately, a lot of the cases I hear don't make my day, but I still hear them, and we try to keep a positive outlook. But anybody have any questions for Sierra? I've kind of monopolized things. I apologize.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
I have a question for Sierra.
Sure.
I know that based on our last conversation, I know that she wanted me to adopt her, and I don't know if and I know that's something that we spoke to Ms. Godwin about a couple months ago as well. And I know that we can do an adoption as an adult, but I don't know, and being that Ms. Riddle's here, I don't know if you could provide information for that, but I know that the last thing Ms. Godwin told me prior to her leaving was that they would have to terminate rights for the parents. So I don't know if that's something that you still want to do. See, if not, I mean, look, I tell you, you can stay. I'm not trying to kick you out. It's totally up to you.
I do.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because it just came up in a hearing that I had either yesterday or the end of last week, where we have a child who's approaching majority. And I was the one who said, well, they can adopt as an adult. But what somebody educated me on is that it might interfere with funding from DFACS, and her eligibility to be to continue in care as once she turns 18. So I would definitely find out the answer to those questions somewhere. But if they're going to terminate, let's see, we're over halfway through May. You got time, but the department would have to get literally on the stick within the next couple of weeks and file a petition. They don't know where the parents are, and we've never known where they were except riding trucks and doing this and that. So they would have to advertise in a newspaper. That would be once a week for 4 weeks. We'd have to wait 60 days from the date the ad ran. So we'd be pushing it close. If that's Sierra, what you need to do is talk to Ms. Schrock and about that. And I don't, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of pros and cons for you in terms of there would be a difference in what would be available through the extended care program with DFACS. At least that's what I was told the other day. Do you remember, Jessica, who was the case manager that brought all that up?
That was Stacy Peterson, Your Honor.
Oh, yeah. And that case is the only case I've ever seen Ms. Peterson on. I don't know. Do you know Ms. Peterson, Ms. Wilcox?
What's the full name and what's the position?
Stacy Peterson. Stacy
No.
Peterson.
No, Your Honor.
Well, this case,
She's
every
an
time we have,
adoption.
she's what?
She's an adoption worker and she covers multiple counties as an adoption worker. So I don't think she's housed out of Henry, but she has some Henry cases where the plan is adoption.
Well, in our county, we have the supervisor over adoption, who is Ms. Banks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's Ms. Peterson's supervisor.
So why don't you have a powwow, Ms. Schrock, with Sierra, and if that's something that she's interested in asking the department to pursue, that you need to be exploring it sooner than later, or you're going to run out of time. But that would also, well, Ms. Wilcox, you may not know this because I don't know that. I mean, but if she was in foster care, and they have to be in foster care for a certain amount of time, which I know she meets that criteria, before they can get some of those services once they turn 18, as far as the college and what they can get and all that. But if her parents' rights are terminated and she's successfully adopted, is she still eligible for those services?
So she will have achieved permanency, Your Honor. However, because she's been in care over 6 months, she's still eligible for the ILP services.
Okay.
However, if she achieved adoption, then once adoption is granted, then she no longer qualified for foster care or extended care.
Okay. Well, you're not going to get the adoption finalized by her 18th birthday, I don't believe. You could get I think you could get the parents' parental rights terminated potentially. But then you'd have to file a lawsuit to get the adoption. And I don't know, what county do you live in, Ms. Ragu?
I'm in Paulding County, and
Oh.
I don't know the accuracy of this, but they told me that like my caseworker said that she still should be able to get college funding though, because she's been in DFACS
Yeah.
care.
And that could be it. I don't know all the ins and outs of those rules, so I don't want somebody to rely on me other than
It's
me
okay.
saying I don't know. But
It's okay.
in terms of when you finalize an adoption of her, whether that interferes or changes her eligibility, that's what I would want to know that too. But I don't think you could get the adoption finalized by her 18th birthday, and whether that makes any difference, I don't know.
I mean, I plan on even if I don't,
Mhm.
even if I can't adopt her, like I told her she can stay. I'm not trying to.
No.
Look, she's already here now, you know. I mean, it took me 17 years to give birth to this kid. But here she is. And like regardless of what happens with the termination or
Mhm.
like she's more than welcome to stay. Like I've already adjusted my will to include her in it. I've already it doesn't matter to me. It's just paperwork. So
Okay.
and I know that for her, it would help her feel more secure in knowing that she has that. But
Mhm.
I just want to do it so she can feel that security, in all honesty.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
No problem.
Let me go through my checklist. Reasonable efforts being made. Anyone contend otherwise? Reasonable efforts
No,
to
sir.
achieve permanency. Any material portion of the case plan that has not been implemented. I'm concerned about this medication management, Ms. Wilcox, and I'm not blaming you. But please get your lawyer to get me an answer that's been resolved or very, very close to being resolved, because that can be a major negative impact on her health and well-being if she's continuing to have side effects from a drug that's too strong, or, and lithium's a big, serious drug, and we don't want to mess around with it. And somebody thought she needed to be on it, and it must, at some dosage, must help her, but sounds like it's not helping at the dosage, or at least it's not helping as well as it could if it's also causing side effects. Any legally required services anyone contends is not being afforded the child, the foster parent.
No, sir.
Case plan, it remains. What was the current status of the case plan without me digging in the file? Is it APLA?
It's not APLA, Your Honor. It's is it concurrent, Ms. Wilcox?
Concurrent guardianship.
Guardianship, okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get off of mute.
What's it concurrent? What's the guardianship concurrent with?
Presumably still reunification.
Yeah.
We've been laid eyes on these parents. I've never had any thoughts about reunification, but the SAGs have always told, at least one of them argues you can't have a concurrent APLA and guardianship or anything else. APLA has to stand by itself. But I guess y'all gonna make me look it up. The last order from December of 22 says the case plan is non-reunification APLA. And that order was generated by your office, Ms. Waller. I don't know whether you were with us back then or not. I can't tell.
I might have just started.
No, it says Mr. Overman was here.
Ah.
So he makes rare appearances.
On occasion.
Ms. Wilcox, you need to talk to your supervisor after you talk to Sierra about her wishes, if she's serious about a possible adoption. About whether or not you need to, I don't think it'd be any problem adjusting the permanency plan, but and let us know if that's something that the department wants to address. That we need to be addressing it before we come back in September, though.
That's right.
No visitation, that issue isn't applicable. You've told me about the ILP services she's receiving, and parents have made no progress, never been to court. And we've been, for 3 years, we've been in virtual, so it's not like they couldn't have participated virtually. And they've been somewhere, we've been told, Colorado, Oklahoma, somewhere between east of California and west of the Mississippi River, somewhere. Anything else we need to address?
Not on this case, Judge. I do have an announcement from Mr. Overman regarding your 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Do I have to listen?
I mean, I sometimes listen to him, not all the time. So if you don't want to, that's fine also.
Go ahead.
All right. It's my understanding that Attorney Evans Battle did not yet perfect service of her subpoena for documents from Cobb County. I believe she is going to request a continuance, and Mr. Overman said he will not object to a continuance.
Okay, are they going to be with me at 3 to put all that on the record, or are they wanting me to put it on the record solo?
You know, I'll defer to you on that one, Judge. Mr. Overman's happy to appear wherever you need him to.
I know he'll be pleased to hear you say that on his behalf.
Absolutely. Everything I know, I learned from him.
Well, I will be here at 3 o'clock, and hopefully they will, if they don't, I'll put it on the record. If somebody has to be somewhere else, which I don't think they do, but
I don't believe so.
because that was a special set. But I'll take care of it if they don't show up. Okay, if they've got time, I would like them to be on the record, since technically under the code, you know, I think the preference is that we at least be on the record when a continuance is determined to be appropriate and in need of, since continuances are not favored, shall we say.
Right. I will make sure he's there, Judge.
Thank you.
Of course.
Did we have anybody else? I was looking back over the screen. Ms. Riddle, did you have any questions for anybody? I didn't mean you couldn't participate in your swan song hearing.
No, Your Honor, I don't have any questions. I'm very excited for Sierra.
Yes, we all are. And Ms. Waller, did you have any questions?
No questions, Judge.
You have the information you need to submit the proposed order for the review?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Ragu, thank you again.
No, thank you. I do have a question though. I don't know if this is allowed, but I have been taking Sierra to the doctor and stuff. Like we went because she told me that her hand was hurting. So I took her to the doctor and we're going to have an appointment for the orthopedic surgeon to look at, because the doctor said that she does think that she shows signs of carpal tunnel in her right hand. So we have that. And then we also have an appointment with the gynecologist in June. Am I able to possibly just take her to the doctor and get referrals to a psychiatrist so she can, like, I can do, if that's allowed? Because I know that when I spoke to Mrs. Godwin, she said we had to go through the management for the medication, but I don't mind taking her to the doctor and just getting a referral and taking her to the psychiatrist, if that's allowed.
I will, if you, Ms. Wilcox, if you've got time, we can leave you on the screen or put you in a breakout room so you can talk privately with Ms. Rago about that. Ms. Ragu, to answer your question, that's generally not, that's something that the case manager manages in terms of how the agency handles care. Most of the kids are covered by Medicaid. So, you know,
If I may, Judge. So what I can do is I can put her on an email with our Amera Group coordinator, and he can provide her with Amera Group
it's not Medicaid
in her area to assist her.
So it's not Medicaid. I misspoke when I said that.
Yeah, foster children have Amera Group,
Okay.
the health plan within Medicaid.
Okay. But what you don't want to, Ms. Ragu, is you're awfully generous with your time and effort to do that for the child. And I certainly don't have any problem with it, but I don't want you stuck with a bill because it didn't go to the right provider or it is not covered by the right insurance. And that's what's going to happen if you have somebody. Of course, most doctors nowadays, if you say, I've been in a doctor's office and somebody said, I have either Medicaid or Medicare, and they said, we don't take those, bye. And they asked them to leave. But
well, the good thing for Sierra is that I used to work at RHC. So I actually spoke to somebody there and they told me like, hey, we were taking her, and I live really close to it too.
Mhm.
So the places that they were taking her when she was living there are relatively close to my area. So they gave me all the phone numbers to all the different doctor's offices that she was going to. So I was taking her to places that already had all of her stuff. Yeah. So like I said, I don't mind taking her back to the doctor as long as Ms. Walker, like as long as you guys are okay with it, and I'll wait for you to send the email if you would like. But if we need to get the referral that way through the psychiatrist and through the doctor just referring to one, I don't mind taking her.
Ms. Wilcox really wants to drive out to Paulding County and take this child herself to all these.
Oh, okay.
So you may be stepping on some dangerous ground, and you may have to placate Ms. Wilcox somehow because, right, Ms. Wilcox? Now, listen, DFACS loves to have foster parents like you. Unfortunately, there's some foster parents that have had the pleasure of meeting who not only won't take them to the doctor, they won't take them to school. All kinds of things they won't do. So you're the don't want to give you too big a head, but you're like the poster person for fostering, somebody who wants to do it all and be the true parent. But
that's what they told me I was supposed to do.
Well,
that's what they said I was supposed to do. So you know.
Yeah, and that's how kids do best, is you be the parent. But we've got some that don't want to do it that way. So you're a blessing, and Sarah's lucky to have you, and the department's lucky to have you. And we desperately need foster parents for teenagers. So we're going to adopt you for Henry County's teenagers, and we'll be sending you some here shortly.
You might have to fight with Sierra on that one because she said I can't.
Oh, is she still going to be an only child?
Well, I have my own biological child as well.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Well, then she's not an only child then. How old is
she's
your
not
child?
an only child. No, I have my biological child, and then I'm a special ed teacher, and I have emotional behavior disorder, and they all think that they're my kids too.
Okay.
So yeah.
Ms. Wilcox, do you want to talk to her?
But yeah, but I'll
privately for a
definitely
minute?
talk to Ms. Wilcox and find out. But thank you so much.
Do y'all want to talk now? A breakout session from this before you hang up? Or you may not have time, I don't know. I've got,
No, you're fine. I have time. I was just muting you guys because the bell for the next class was ringing.
oh,
but,
if you've got to go, y'all
Oh,
can hook
no,
up.
no, I don't have to. No, I'm good. Like I said, my class is self-contained, so we don't move. So yeah, but if you guys want to, and like most of my students are not really here today anyway, they decided they didn't want to come. I'm not mad at them about it. But Ms. Wilcox, if you want us to speak now, or if you want to call me back later, that's fine.
I'll call back later.
Got her
Okay,
number,
no problem.
Ms. Wilcox?
Mhm.
Sir?
Yes, she came to my house last week, Judge. She was awesome. I tried to offer her some snacks, but but we hung out for a while.
She knows it. It's not about an hour and a half to get out to Paulding County. She wants to come out there 2 or 3 times a week to see Sierra and take her to the doctor. And I went to Paulding to do something with their courts there back last year, and I thought I'd never get there.